Alright everybody, welcome back and thanks for joining me for my top 10 action role-playing games. To my understanding, all of these games can be found on mostly all the actual major consoles like Nintendo, PlayStation and the like, and quite a few of them come down in price, so it's worth watching some sales videos. I do one every Friday at the moment. And as I can see some people's eyes already rolling back, hit that subscribe button and let's get into this. And the first game fighting its way to the front is Torchlight, and this one's a action role-playing game that is kind of like Diablo-like, takes influences from that, and also a looter shooter. Considering it came out in 2009, you would think the two sequels that it had would be better than the original, and they've improved on it. Well, one of them kind of is and the other one definitely is not, but this one is still considered one of the best RPG action games you could buy. In fact, if you go onto Steam, I think it's only about $2 or £2 right now. Okay, I said that most of these games are for mostly all the different consoles. Torchlight is probably, I think, only for the PC, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is only on Nintendo Switch. But I couldn't do this list without this one because it's such a great game. It's so expansive, there's so much to do, and the story is really decent. I used to own a hard copy of this one, and yeah, I just played it for hours and hours on end. It's just so much fun, but it's one of those ones that is so kind of big and there's so many different things to do that you almost get lost doing it and have to force yourself back to doing the main quests. And considering it was native to the Nintendo Switch, it looks beautiful. And talking about expansive and looking beautiful, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. This is one of my favourite games of all time. I own it on pretty well every platform, including VR, which if you haven't played it in VR, you really should because it is so seriously cool. Whether continuing your Elder Scrolls story or indeed starting with Skyrim, this game is just superb with so many different things to do. Again, it's one of them games that you can go so far into it without even doing like a main quest. It's crazy. Creating your character is a joy, and the fact that you can tailor it to your wants, i.e. weapons, bows, magic and the like, is just awesome. The fact that you can put up the stats and just see the progression of your character as you go through the game. This game is so big it should come with a warning. And just before I carry on, if you made it this far into the video, please do go and hit that subscribe button. Okay, next up we have Monster Hunter Rise. It's one of the newer iterations of the Monster Hunters. I would say more or less all of the Monster Hunters are pretty decent, but I've just picked this one because there are so many of them. Which one's your favourite Monster Hunter? Leave it down in the comments, let us all know. That would be actually quite interesting. But it's doing all the same things as all the others did, but obviously in a different setting. Hunt monsters, kill monsters, make armour and weapons out of said monsters. It's as easy as that, but they are actually quite interesting. They do have stories that run through them, and they're mostly multiplayer, so yeah, there's that as well. Which brings me nicely onto The Witcher Wild Hunt. This is a massive game, again a little bit like Elder Scrolls, but these are based on a series of books of the Witchers, and also you've seen that TV series that Henry Cavill tried to save but couldn't. Unfortunate really. Unlike Skyrim, you actually play as Geralt, which is a Witcher, and you basically follow his story and side quests all the way through the game. Geralt is able to use native abilities like magic, potions and swords and weapons, giving the battles a little bit more diversity compared to some of the other open world adventure games. Definitely one of my favourite franchises and definitely highly recommended. And as I mentioned Torchlight earlier on, I'm now going to mention Diablo 3 Eternal Collection. This one is not so big, it's about 20 hours all in all, if you're looking to just complete the main story, and about 230 hours if you want to be a completionist. And if you're anything like me, you're probably taking advantage of the multiplayer aspect within the game. 1 to 4 players in mostly every iteration that you can. I play it multiplayer because I like the socialness about it, and I also, you're grinding and everything, it makes it a little bit more interesting. And just a quick mention, if you haven't already and you're still watching at this point, then please do go ahead and subscribe. Also join our Discord, we're a bunch of like-minded people into gaming. And now I'm going to go on to one of the most brutal games I've ever played. Yep, you've guessed it. Dark Souls, or Dark Souls Remastered. Either one will do. I do like myself a Dark Souls game, even though I'm not very good at them. They are brutal, but it's more of a brutal puzzle type thing. Does that make sense? Like, you have to go into it and you can't just go head on just bashing the hell out of everything. You have to work out how things or the enemies work and then sort of like strategize around that. The first time I played a Dark Souls game, I was like, what the flip? What the hell is this? And then once you relax a little bit and then set your mind to how the game actually plays, I was starting to edge forward. And that's kind of the whole point. It's not a run through the game and just slash everything up. It's a take your time, don't rush. There is no rush, really, is there? This game pretty well single-handedly spawned a whole genre of games, and I for one am glad that it did, even though it pains me to play them. Which brings me nicely on to Dragon's Quest XI-S, Echoes of an Elusive Age. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Personally, I've spent so many hours playing this one, and yeah, it is just huge. So much to do, so much dialogue, and so many creatures to, well, vanquish. The story is top notch, it really is fun to play. There are so many quests, so many side quests to do, and it's turn-based combat, which I do enjoy. There are some truly outstanding moments within this game, and one of my best was when you can go into that 2D type look from the old games. In fact, if you've never played a Dragon Quest game, the older games are now on most consoles, and you really should go and like start from the beginning and work your way up. You will get hours upon hours of gameplay, and you will not regret it. If you're a fan of the Dragon Quest games, why not leave a comment down below and let us know which one is your favourite. Bastion is one of those games where it basically has a mode where you can jump in and play no matter what level of gaming skills that you have. I have in the past seen people dismiss this game mainly because it has that cute type look about it, but don't be deceived. It even has a Game Plus mode, so when you've completed it, you can play it all again, but hopefully have a slightly different experience this time. If I remember correctly, mostly all your weapons can be upgraded and there's a fair few of them, along with the different creatures that you have to defeat. This one is a decent game, and don't let its almost cutesy look deceive you. Whilst Mary Shelter 2 isn't specifically an action role-playing game, it is a role-playing game dungeon crawler, and I absolutely love it. It's weird, wacky, and that is probably why I like it so much. If you enjoy Persona games, this is probably the nearest I can think of to weirdness, because it's got that kind of like wacky, I don't know what you'd call it, type feel to it. It's definitely one of my favourite games of all time. It goes on sale quite often-ish, and if you haven't picked it up, I would definitely recommend it if you're into this sort of gameplay. So that's your 10. What did you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you've got any additions, please leave them down in the comment. Much appreciated. And also subscribe. See ya!